We're trying to get the bank records. Went over there and got his
I'm good.
That's my understanding. I didn't
Being said, thank you all for being in attendance. We will begin with everyone standing for the prayer. Please remain standing because then Ms. Grayson will introduce our presenter for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for all you have made to brighten our lives. Thank you for sunny days, multicolored sunsets, twinkling stars, family and friends, especially those who know our faults but still love us. Thank you for smiling, big-eyed children, fresh reminders that there's still a lot of love left in this world. And thank you for wisdom from others who have traveled our paths many times before. Finally, thank you for what we so often take for granted: food, shelter, and clothing. Tonight, we ask for compassion, understanding, and patience with a commitment to advance public education and serve as positive leaders for our community. Amen.
Amen. Ms. Grayson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Noah Poole, who is a fourth grader at Skyland Elementary. He's here with his mom, who's also a first grade teacher at Skyland, and his principal, Ms. Stafford, who's in her first year with the school. Noah is an outstanding example of graduation plus at our elementary school levels. After he graduates from high school, he wants to join the United States Marine Corps. And he has been so excited about this prospect that he applied last year on his mom's iPad and got a call from a recruiter and had to explain that he'd have to wait about a decade before that comes to fruition. After he graduates from high school, but not before being a lineman and a linebacker for the Blue Ridge Tigers, he wants to go to Liberty University and major in diesel mechatronics to learn how to fix his family's vehicles, and then he wants to have a career at either the Citadel or West Point. We have no doubt that Noah will accomplish all his goals and continue to make us all proud. Noah?
Pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America,
to the republic,
republic for which it stands,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Noah, stay there. I'm going to bring Miss Grayson down there, and we're going to get some pictures of you and your mother and anybody you brought. And you know what? Words.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight and listening to me say the pledge. It's a big honor. I'm thankful for being here tonight. I just want to thank all y'all for coming out.
I'm also going to just speak from here because also want to, we give the Miracle Hill Award from the school board. And tonight it is our honor to present the Miracle Workers Award to 2 heroic Greenville County school staff members. The Miracle Workers Award was first approved by the board in 1996 to recognize individuals for going beyond the call of duty. On October the 7th, special needs bus driver Carlos Pozo was running his route when he came upon a boy riding a bike. He recognized him from the television news reports as a child who had been reported missing. When he called to the child by his name, the young fellow dropped his bike and started to run up a hill toward a wooded area. Mr. Pozo secured the bus and followed on foot, convincing the child to turn around and get on the bus. The bus driver and the bus's aide, Linda Brown, who had remained on the bus to make sure and keep watch over the students on board, came to the front, sat, and talked with the young child to keep him calm until law enforcement arrived. You can hear the story firsthand from the video, and we're going to listen to this, but at this time I want Carlos and I want Linda and everybody to come up here. All right, let's watch this great video.
We have a good rapport. We talk every morning, so we talk about the things that we need to do on the bus to prepare for our kids once they get on, because we even had blankets this morning for our special need kids. So in the process this morning, I said, I saw on the news last night where a kid is missing. He said, yes, I saw that also. So never imagined that we would find this kid riding on a road this morning. But we did, and we did what we thought was best.
We saw a little kid riding the bike over there, and it was weird because the way that he was riding, and it's like he was running in front of the bus.
He was riding erratically across the road, and he was going from side to side. Not only that, the area is very wooded, and we were just thinking that something was out of the ordinary, so we proceeded to follow behind him.
Ms. Linda asked me checking what is his name. I just asked him what his name. He was riding. He didn't want to stop. He said he was Kenny.
And when he said Kenny, we knew we had our guy.
And he just dropped off the bike and started to run. And I thought, my way. I told Ms. Linda, I said, we're going to stop. I called the radio. I'm going to stop, secure the bus. I'm going to go down for him because I don't want him to get into the woods or get lost. Said, no, I went to the stop bus, my bus is over there, I'm going to stop over there. I said, no, you come with us. Until he finally decided to come to the bus. We just closed the bus and secure and called the base that we have the key.
I did a hand clap, and the other kids did a hand clap also, so I said, we got our guy. Once we got him aboard the bus, we gave him a bottle of water, and he was a little bit thirsty, and we had grapes and a little cake, but he decided against the cake and took the grapes, which was a good choice. But he settled down. He wouldn't talk to us, but he did settle down, and he was very grateful that we gave him the water. We're a special needs bus, so we have special kids on our bus that need special attention. So for somebody to be running away and as special needs as we are with our other kids, we just thought this one needed some special attention. Just in the right place at the right time.
We make a good team. We have a good communication. That's important for all team that you have, or all the person that you work around. I'm glad that Ms. Linda is with me.
Pretty amazing teamwork today, huh? Yes, we are. We're a pretty amazing team.
Actions of this. Actions of Mr. Pozo and Mrs. Brown serve as an example of going above, the beyond, and the call of duty to help our children. They kept calm, utilized their training, and showed immense love and care for our child in need and a family in distress. It is our honor and good fortune that they chose to be a part of the Greenville County School family. Tonight, we ask you to join us in recognizing Carlos Pozo and Linda Brown with the Greenville County School Board of Trustees Miracle Worker Awards. And I'm going to ask this group, Mr. Meek and Dr. Cristobal O'Connell and Joy Grayson, as well as Mrs. Bush and Mr. Sutter, to come. And you know what? Everybody
That's okay.
come on down. This is like the Price is Right. We just hit the jackpot because we got two outstanding people and supervisors. Thank you so much. I tell you what, let's just come over this way. Everybody go this way.
And then I'll stay up here.
Do this upright, right? Because, here you go. Dr. Royster?
You know, that's not bad.
Chuck told me to.
Just stand up here.
Chuck told me to stand up. They don't have a wide enough.
Ready? Now, just say whatever you want. You can say cheese, smile, we made it. Hey, I'm doing all I can. I would tell you Carlos smells good. Sorry. I smells good, I tell you. Carlos, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, darling, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We didn't come back. Thank you. How you doing?
That's good.
I was going to just thank you for having these in back. Here, you back now? At this time, I would like to turn it over to 1.03 to Mr. Sailors.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, we're honored to have the State President of the South Carolina School Board Association, Mr. Tony Falk, who is a trustee from the Dorchester School District 4 District, with us to recognize our champion for education honoree this evening, Bon Secours St. Francis Health System. Tony, please.
To make a special awards presentation on behalf of the South Carolina School Boards Association. I always enjoy visiting districts throughout the state, especially to make presentations just like this one. As Chuck said, I'm Tony Folk. I'm president of the South Carolina School Board Association and a member of the Dorchester 4 Board. This time, I would like for Chairwoman Linda Leventis-Well, SCSBA President-elect Mr. Sailors, Region 15 Director Lisa Wells, Dr. Royster, and Tracy Huggin, please come down. Dr. Alex Garvey and any other representatives from Bon Secours St. Francis Health System that are here tonight, please join us up front. Ready up? To Dr. Garvey and Bon Secours, we say thank you. Thank you for your wonderful participation with Greenville County Schools. This is a partnership that displays your dedication, commitment to success of public school children. Partnership between Bon Secours and the school district serves as a model for other school districts in our state and is why South Carolina School Boards Association is proud to recognize and honor you with the Champions for Public Education Award. Champions for Public Education Award is presented to businesses, nonprofit organizations, individuals who greatly support public schools. Greenville County Schools nominated Bon Secours Health System for this award because of your tremendous support of the students in the district. You give your time, dedication, and resources to ensure Greenville County Public School students are prepared for their next steps as graduates. Dr. Garvey, we want you to know that your work does not go unnoticed. Let me tell you a little bit about a great partnership here. Greenville County Schools desires to continually expand partnerships with industry to connect students to paid internships that will prepare them for the next step. In 2017, the district was lucky enough to have one industry partner bring just such an opportunity to them unsolicited. Bon Secours Health System proposed Project Search to the district and is not only aligned with their strategic education plan initiatives around Graduation Plus, but also set a standard and expectations of what inclusion of special students' needs should look like in their education system and community. Project Search was established by Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center in 1996 and has since been replicated at more than 300 sites nationwide. The program focus is on serving young adults with a variety of intellectual and developmental disabilities. Program participants experience total immersion in the workplace and are paid for their work. Project Search is a business-led program. This means that students learn relevant, marketable skills and immersed in the business and those businesses' active partners participating without subsidies. Project Search staff includes a workforce coordinator from St. Francis, an instructor from Greenville County Schools, paraprofessional from the Greenville County School, and a skills trainer provided by the South Carolina Vocational Rehabilitation Department. According to Tracy Hogan, the district's assistant superintendent for special education services, the multiple opportunities for hands-on training and job-specific skills is invaluable to our students, a life change for those young people and their family. This partnership allows us to work as a community to train and support our students in the most unique way and ensure they are prepared for competitive employment. First year of the program, 7 students from 5 Greenville high schools completed internships in various departments at St. Francis Downtown Hospital, including materials management, transport, medical records, rehab, and more. In year 2, 2018-2019, the program has grown to 9 students. What an impressive partnership. On behalf of the South Carolina School Board Association, I want you to know how much your efforts are appreciated. You are making a difference in the lives of Greenville County Schools. Thank you for being true champions for public education.
This is a great honor. I brought our senior executive team this evening to share this because it's definitely a team joy. From the very first day we had a conversation with Dr. Oyster and Tracy Hogan, the doors and the welcome from the Greenville County School has been phenomenal. We truly see them as true ministry brothers and sisters in this partnership to co-create a fairer world and a better world that has opportunity for all of God's people. We're delighted for the partnership, and our we'd like to leave you with one final thought. It's not how the kids that are abled differently, it's not how we change their lives, it's how they change us as a Bonsu core culture, and how we look at opportunities for people who can do great work if given a chance. This is a phenomenal relationship, a great working partnership, and delighted to be here. Thank you very much, and God bless. Want to say a few words?
And we'll get all the other board members stand up right behind us. I don't want anyone left out. Everybody come up.
Oh, you learned from that.
All right,
I
here
don't
we
think I
go.
was ever in a picture of it in the last 5 years.
All right, with the picture.
We need to squeeze in.
No, we're
We're gonna do squeeze it a little bit.
I got your back, Bert.
Just want y'all to know, in all my years being on the board, I don't think I've ever been in this many pictures. So, 'tis the season. To approve the consent calendar as presented, I would entertain a motion. Yes, sir. Mr. Setta made the motion to approve the consent. Do I have a second? Mrs. Bush, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please address by raising your right hand. All opposed, right hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you so much. 2.02, to approve the consent calendar as presented. And this is to approve the consent calendar for special call meeting October 8, 2019. Okay? But this one was September 24th. 2.01 was September 24th. And this is 2.02, which is October 8th. So we have approved the entire consent calendar. And now we will go to 2.03, homeschool applications. There's, it is approved by part as the consent calendar, and personnel recommendation is also approved by consent calendar. So I'd like to thank you. We took care of 2.0 everything. And now we will go to 3.01. Appearance of visitors. I will ask Ms. Wells if she would read the comments and what you're allowed to do. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. We have one visitor tonight to speak. Before they come up, I want to read subsequent to our board policy. We appreciate those that have come to speak, but wanted to lay out our procedures. As your name is called, you can proceed to the podium at the end of the board's dais where there's a microphone and a light system. The speaker has up to 3 minutes to speak to the board. The light system will be green for the first 2 minutes and will turn yellow when 1 minute remains on the speaker's allotted time. In keeping with our board policy KCA, abusive language or personal attacks aimed at students or staff members will not be permitted. All speakers are expected to behave in an orderly and respectful manner. The board will not engage in discussion with the speaker or respond to comments. And the superintendent will designate a member of the staff to respond to each speaker in an appropriate and timely manner. So I will call our speaker up. We have one speaker tonight, Kevin Branch, to come to the podium and speak.
Good evening.
Evening.
Boswell. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before the school board. Just introduce myself really quickly. I'm a resident of Malden. I've been a resident of the Golden Strip for the past 24 years, coming next week. And I wanted to talk for just a second, one question and just a couple of recommendations or requests concerning the rezoning that I guess follows on the agenda. The one question that I would have, and there have been many other questions been asked, but the one question I would have at this point is for those who are unhappy with the decision, and obviously you can't make everybody happy, this board has a challenge with that. What should we feel good about in this process? Often when we rezone, we can at least point to the location of the new school relative to the old one and say, well, we put a school in your neighborhood, or perhaps we've done something with the curriculum in the new school that you're going to get that maybe is a benefit. What do we point to here for those who are impacted with this decision? The second question that I would, or it's not a question, is more of a request for the future for this board. Given the growth projections in Greenville County, this won't be the last time that we'll need to shift students around to accommodate the growth in population. In the future, please consider adopting policies to limit the disruption that's associated with this process. A couple thoughts that I had, and I'm certainly not an expert or professional who's in this business. Earlier disclosure of this rezoning plans to coincide with the opening of a new school, so that we aren't committed to building the school when we decide to tell everyone what the impact might be. The other would be to prioritize local and neighborhood schools as we build and seek to attract students via special permission or magnet programs to limit the rezoning. Particularly that would increase travel distances. So that we don't have to have these kinds of discussions and at the end of the process. Thank you for your time. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Branch. At this time, I'd like to thank Ms. Bush for her beautiful flowers. The arrangements, they brighten up our evening every month, and we can't thank you enough. Ms. Bush, when she served as the state South Carolina school board president, in her speech, she said, "Stop and smell the roses," and she gave everyone roses. So you always bless us with beautiful flowers. So thank you, Ms. Bush. We appreciate it. Also, I'd like to ask all of the Furman University students to stand up and be recognized. We'd like to thank y'all for being here tonight. They are in various degrees, some education, some political science. We've got some biologists in here. We've got everyone, a gamut. So thank you. We hope that when you graduate in education, you will apply and be a part of our family here at Greenville County. Thank you so much. If there's students from anywhere else and I missed, please, if you would like to stand up and tell us where you're from, we would. I think we covered it all. So at this time, we'll move forward with 4.01, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vance Wells. Tonight, in lieu of a formal superintendent's report, I want to again recognize those two outstanding employees, Carlos Poza and Linda Brown, and also express my appreciation to Bon Secours St. Francis for the tremendous program that we have with them that helps us with preparing some of our special needs students for employability to be contributing members when they leave our system. Again, it would be hard for me to top those two things tonight. Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Dr. Wilson?
That's it. I know Coach Sutherland will be glad that I didn't give a speech.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that, Dr. Royster. 5.01, recommended motion from the Committee of the Whole to certify the slate of delegates with each trustee's name as both a delegate and an alternate, and with the chair assigned 3 votes and the remaining trustees to vote twice for each. Coming from the Committee of the Whole, it does not need a motion, so at this time, we will vote. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please address by raising your right hand. All opposed, your left hand. I'm joking, you're right. There are, it passes unanimously. 5.02. Student assignment plan for New Fountain Inn High School and relief to Malden and Hillcrest High Schools. The recommended motion came from the Committee of the Whole to reassign the geocodes in Table 1 in the attached assignment, student assignment plan from Hillcrest High to Fountain Inn High School. The geocodes listed in Table 2 from Malden High School to Fountain Inn High School, and the geocodes listed in Table 3 from Malden High School to Hillcrest High School, and to grant priority choice to the geocodes listed in Table 3 to attend high school until Malden High School until 2025 through 26, or such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity, as established annually by the Planning and Demographics Department. Coming from the Committee of the Whole, it needs no second. Any discussion? Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I believe at the Committee of the Whole we had some really good discussion, and most of the questions, particularly those that came from the neighbors who are affected by the move from Malden to Hillcrest, had most of their questions answered. But there were a few that either they couldn't hear because of the audio, or because maybe they didn't understand. So if we could just go through a few of those questions again, please. So can we maybe start with just a couple of questions about some of the other neighborhoods that were recommended for being moved from Malden to Hillcrest that weren't selected? And so I know in the past you've shown us some maps, and I know they recommended some geocodes, and we don't need to go through every one of them, but there were some in the Five Forks area that I wonder if you could just speak a little bit to kind of why those neighborhoods weren't chosen to be moved to Hillcrest, as opposed to these families that actually live in the city limits of Malden that were chosen to be moved.
A little bit. Is it on? When we looked at all the factors in the board's policy AD, some of those factors include things such as feeder parents.
One moment, Ms. Farley, let us make sure that your mic is working. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just need it real close,
Thank you.
I guess. Some of those areas in the Five Forks, or those areas in the Five Forks area, feed to Malden Middle or Riverside Middle School. If we then, and that, like Malden Middle feeds to 2 high schools currently, that would increase, if they were sent to Hillcrest High, that would increase the number of feeders for Malden High and for Riverside High, Malden Middle and Riverside Middle. Some of those students in some of that area go to Bell's Crossing currently, then they go to Riverside Middle, and they can come back to Malden High. If they were going to Bell's Crossing, then Riverside Middle, and then Hillcrest High, it would be, if there was something that parents were trying to get to after school, that would be very difficult. Also, some of those areas have been reassigned previously, which that is one of the factors to consider in the board policy AD, is the number of times that areas have been reassigned previously. Also, some of that, and I remember specifically a number of suggestions had specifically looked at 4 geocodes. Five Forks area is not clearly defined. I mean, we know in general where that is, but some of those 4 geocodes that were asked to be considered, some of those are closer driving distance to Malden High than the area that we recommend assigning to Hillcrest High. So those are just some of the reasons.
So the primary reason I think we shared the cow, that I think you repeated a few times, was that you guys went and measured the driving distances from these other neighborhoods to Malden and to Hillcrest and determined that even though this neighborhood would have further to drive to Hillcrest than they do to Malden, their further distance wouldn't be as great as the further distance that, say, Holly Tree and Riverwalk and those other neighborhoods would have had to drive to also get to Hillcrest. Is that
right?
And
that particularly about Holly Tree. Of course, Holly Tree covers a large amount of acreage, but part of Holly Tree, one of the staff members drove it right during when high school traffic would be on the roads, and it took 5 minutes to get to Malden High, and it's just less than 2 miles from Malden High.
So when you look at the geocodes that could possibly be moved to Hillcrest, that this was the closest to Hillcrest of the geocodes that could have been moved from Malden to Hillcrest.
That, along with all it met the most factors of the board's policy.
Okay. So can we talk a little bit about, one of the questions that the speaker asked tonight is a question that I've been asked often, and I haven't heard the district provide really a lot of context to that, and that is, how are these families better off moving to Hillcrest? So we have families who are being moved to Fountain High School, which is a new high school, and obviously they are better off because they are getting a new high school. But just for either the two of you or Dr. Royster or Mr. Reimer, I mean, as you talk to families about the values of that move to Hillcrest, what are the positives that we can offer to these neighborhoods that would say this is why it's better for us to move you than to just leave you in a school that's overcrowded at Malden?
Well, I will start with that unless Dr. Royster wants to speak to it first.
I think that puts us to a degree in somewhat of a unique position in trying to value one school above another. And I wouldn't do that. What I would say to parents is there are tremendous opportunities at Hillcrest High School that equal or rival the opportunities available at Malden. And by making that move, we have reduced the size of each high school to create, for example, in extracurricular and co-curricular activities, greater opportunities for more individuals to have a chance to participate. So those would be the kinds of things I would talk about. Each school has its own unique qualities and characteristics, but we have an excellent academic program in place at both schools.
Thank you. I know that it's difficult to compare schools like it's difficult to compare your children, but I also know that particularly for these families who are happy where they are, it's difficult for me to go back to them and say we're moving you because things are comparable somewhere else, and so I just really had hoped that in all of these processes that there'd be some sort of, here is something you're going to get as a result of moving from this school that's overcrowded to this school that's less crowded that's going to make things better for you and your family than leaving you where you are. And I guess the challenge I have is when you look at the majority of the reassignments that we've done in the last 10 or 15 years, most of them have been moving people from one school to a new school. And I think that's pretty easy for people to see. I moved you from this school to Rudolph Gordon because it's a nice new school and it can do a lot of cool stuff that we couldn't do when you were in your other school. And I feel like, to me, I just feel like it's one of the missed opportunities in all of this, that there hasn't really been an explanation that, for example, Hillcrest Athletics currently are performing better than Malden's athletics, or that as we looked at standardized test scores and the projections based on the moves, that students at Hillcrest will be performing better on standardized tests going into the future than at Malden based on the numbers that Planning and Demographics have shared. I mean, I guess speaking on behalf of neighbors who've expressed concerns to me, that's the thing that they feel like they've missed the most, is this is what you're going to get as a result of us uprooting you from your school and putting you somewhere else. But I do think that we made a compromise, and that was this priority choice. And so if we could maybe just pivot to it, and just if you could re-explain to me what priority choice means to Planning and Demographics.
What that means is that those students whose parents choose to request to go to Malden High that live in the area that's being reassigned from Malden to Hillcrest, it means that they will fill out a change in assignment request form. But their form and they will get priority choice to attend Malden High as long as, just as your motion said, through 25-26 to within the rated capacity of the school.
All right, so let's just talk through that process, because I think people, particularly people who listen to the audio, either heard something different or misheard something. And so I want to make sure that I'm repeating to you what I think planning's proposal is. So there are 10 choice slots available at Malden High School, and 5 families apply from these neighborhoods, and 50 families apply from somewhere other than these neighborhoods. Then the first thing that would happen is that you would pull out the 5 that are from these neighborhoods, and they would automatically get in if there's space available. If there's 10 choice slots,
yes,
and there's 5 applicants,
they will be outside of everybody else. They'll be done really by themselves and be in before anybody.
Okay, so it doesn't increase their weight in the lottery. It doesn't give them a better chance. It actually allows them to move to the front of the line to be chosen first before other choice slots are awarded to people who don't live in these geocodes.
Yes, sir.
And then the remaining choice slots would be awarded to whomever from the district applies for those choice slots outside of these geocodes. Is that?
If there are any others.
If there's any choice slots remaining. Okay. So then I guess the only thing that's just a little then confusing for me is some of the wording in the motion. And so I just want to talk through the interpretation of it, because I read it one way when we had our CAL meeting, and then as I read it again, had time to reflect on it the last couple of weeks, I'm thinking that maybe it's read differently by staff. And so if we could just kind of talk through it. So the way that it is worded here, it is that we will grant priority choice to geocodes listed in Table 3 to attend Malden High School until 25-26, or such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity. Now, 25-26 is an important year because we had already said at other presentations that if you were in 7th grade, that you would already have priority choice for these schools. So when we made presentations to students who are currently in 7th grade, that they would be kind of the first students who would be affected by the change in school
Yes,
assignments.
because they will be in 9th grade in school year 2021-22.
That's right. So they would be seniors in 25-26.
Right, this, however, applies to entering 9th graders. So the class that would enter in 25-26, that will be entering the 9th grade 25-26, the priority would end with them. In other words, they'd finish out their high school career. And if they had siblings, the siblings would have the same sibling priority that we do in schools throughout the district. So it would, the choice window would be, or choice would be available to them so long as there's room in the school, or 25-26, whichever comes first. After that, if there were room in the school, they would have the same opportunity for choice that anyone else does. And what that does is it gives a certain date in the future when it would end, if down the road, if in 25-26 or 26-27, somewhere along in there, if this or a future board is faced with having to move another neighborhood or neighborhoods, if you haven't ended the priority choice for this neighborhood, you wouldn't have the mechanism to allow that to perhaps a neighborhood that's physically closer to Malden High School. So that's the reason for the recommendation to have a certain end date, as well as if the school were to fill up. If you don't have the certain end date, then that would eliminate the opportunity I just mentioned, and you could have them going in and out of choice for as long as there was space available in the school.
So the way this is written now, if you are a freshman entering in 26-27, and you live in these geocodes, you do not get priority choice.
You do not. You would have, if there were choice available, you would have the same choice as others. In 26-27.
So then I guess I don't understand why the or clause is even necessary. Because if you're gonna end priority choice in 25-26, that will be the first possible year when the school won't exceed its rated capacity, because we're moving kids out 1 year at a time, but giving them the choice to stay in it until 25-26.
Right, and if other growth in the Malden area, it could take the building above its capacity between now and 25-26.
Right, but I'm saying the or wouldn't allow them to stay longer. So why wouldn't you just say until 25-26? Why have the or if you're not going to give priority choice to them when the school hasn't exceeded its rated capacity? You understand? So you're using the phrase until the school exceeds its rated capacity to be another reason to take priority choice away. So either when we get to 25-26 or sooner if the school exceeds its rated capacity before 25-26, we'll take choice away.
Yeah, if they won't fit in the building, they don't have priority choice anymore.
Which is fine. What most of the neighborhood read this to say was that we're getting priority choice until the school exceeds its rated capacity, which is not true, because we're going to remove that priority choice from them in 25-26, even if the school isn't full. So we're going to...
That is correct. They get a priority choice either until 25-26 or until the school reaches its capacity. If that were to happen in 21-22, there would be no choice. So there would be no priority choice. We try to put that in there to make it more clear. I'm sorry if that was less clear to people.
So I mean, I guess for me, the thing I struggle with is the reason that we gave them priority choice is because we took them out of this school and put them somewhere else.
Yes.
Presumably freed up space in this school. Then we said to them, but if you want those spaces back, you can have them and move to the front of the line.
Yes.
So why would we set an end date for when they could have them? Why wouldn't we just say, you can move to the front of the line until the school is full?
Forever?
Well, because we all know that the whole reason we made this move is because Malden is growing at a rate faster than Malden High School can handle. And we don't know for sure when that year will be when Malden, after we move out these 242 kids, will exceed that number. But we know that it's going to happen soon. And frankly, as long as the city of Malden continues to infill at a rate faster than this district is prepared to handle, it's going to be a problem sooner rather than later.
And if in the future, this board or a future board pulls out groups of students in neighborhoods that are in fact closer physically to Malden High School than these geocodes, by not having an end date on priority choice, you would then still be allowing that community to have a priority choice when you've moved others out that were closer to the school and they would have no choice. That was the reason for the end date.
I mean, unless the board also grants priority choice to those neighborhoods that we're moving out of Malden for the same reasons. I mean, if we're moving this group of people out to free up space, and then we're going to move a whole other group of people out to free up space, I would assume, at least if I'm on the board, that we would offer the same choice opportunity to those families as we did to the people we're currently moving out. I just have a concern with the date, because I think the date puts an end date, which I think does force us to say to families who have a fourth grader, you're not getting into Malden High School.
I think we're just preparing them that's what's going to happen. Yes, I agree with you.
And so I don't know that offer a priority choice for some families, but not at least giving other families the same right to have that same priority. Giving a family the ability to have priority choice doesn't put them in the school. I mean, we just said that the only way you're going to get off the priority choice list is if there's open space. Giving them priority choice just moves them to the front of the line. So if the line is 500 students long and you move to the front, you're still not going to get in because the school is already full.
And if you don't have an end date, if you give them priority choice in perpetuity, then no one will ever get to the front of the line except that neighborhood. That was the reason for the end date.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying, which is why I'm not comfortable with this proposal, because I believe that by giving them an end date, we are cutting out their ability to move to the front of the line. And so it would be my recommendation that we would amend this motion and that we would change it so that it says that we would allow to grant priority choice to the geocodes listed in Table 3 to attend Malden High School between now and 2025-26, and then until such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity, so that we are acknowledging that between now and 2025-26, we have already granted them priority choice, which has already been done. And giving them priority choice would not necessarily guarantee them a spot in the school, but it guarantees that they get to move to the front of the line. And then after that, until such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity, would then allow them to continue to move to the front of the line until the school reaches its capacity. And then at that point, there would be no priority choice anymore because the school would be full and all of these choice options would end. So it's not an indefinite period of time, and I think we can agree is going to come sooner rather than later.
I don't disagree with any of that except one section, and that is if you don't put an end on it, it's priority choice in perpetuity. So at any point in the future, when there is space available, that community will have priority choice. That's the concern. Now, if you say that if you amend it, say that it clearly ends and is not resumed once the school becomes full, that accomplishes the same thing with no date on it.
I disagree. I believe that this back and forth is a little frustrating. I am recommending that it would be that it would be between now and 25-26 and until such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity, which wouldn't be unended because the school is going to exceed its rated capacity, and when it does, then the priority choice would end. And it would not continue because it ended at the time when the school exceeded its rated capacity. So it is an indefinite period of time until such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity, which is going to be soon, and then it is going to end.
But, and I get, and I don't mean to be argumentative or to pick that apart, but if you don't put something on it that very clearly says that it ends the first time it hits that capacity, then you've established this in perpetuity. When it dips below the capacity again, if that's 7, 8, 9 years out, those neighborhoods still have priority for choice without an end on it. Now, you can end it the way you suggested ending it, or you can end it with a date. But if you simply grant priority choice and don't say that ceases the first year the school is full, then it leaves it open, because we're trying to write this with the idea that perhaps none of us will be here when that happens. And we want to be very clear, at least that's our recommendation, that it be very clear when it ends. It doesn't matter to the administration if it ends in 25, 26 or 26, 27, or if it ends the first time the school is full and no choice is allowed, but it needs to end, because I'm afraid if it doesn't, there'll be a lack of clarity in the future about that.
So I thought I worked through this with the attorney, and so I would like to hear Mr. Webb's. I understood from our conversation that until such time as was an end date, and that the end date is clearly defined as the time when the school exceeds its rated capacity, and that I thought our understanding was that phrase would allow this to go into a place and not continue forever and ever every time it dips below its capacity, which I understood was a concern of the administration's, that until such time as would mean that it would end at such time as it exceeds its rated capacity.
I agree with you. Now, I will say this, in avoidance of doubt, and to be clear and remove any possible ambiguity, I don't see any harm if it accomplishes the same thing to put an additional qualifier on there for it to end at that point, or that it's shall not resume afterwards. So I think we can get the same concept done, but with maybe slightly different wording.
All right, so if we added then at the end of that clause, after as established annually by the annual planning department, and shall not resume afterwards.
That satisfies the administration's concern.
So that would allow choice to be priority choice to be offered as it is available, both between now and 25-26, and until such time as the school reaches its capacity, and then shall not resume afterwards.
I'm sorry?
And then shall not resume afterwards.
Yes, sir. That substitute language accomplishes the same thing as that the date does. Okay. Yes, sir.
So, if I may, before I make a motion, so I make sure that we only do this once, I believe the way that would be worded is to the geocodes in Table 3 to attend Malden High School between now and 25-26, and then until such time as the school exceeds its rated capacity all the way to the end, and then add the clause, and shall not resume afterwards. Does the administration feel like that resolves?
I want to make sure I follow that exactly. When you said that, did you remove the 25-26?
No, it would be, I believe it would be between now and 25-26.
Attend Malden High School. I would simply, I think you can simply remove until 25-26, can't you, Mr. Webb? Or such time as, until the school reaches its rated capacity, and then use the substitute language that Mr. Webb suggested. Wouldn't that accomplish the same thing, Doug?
I believe it depends on the intent of the board here. I guess the question would be between now and 25-26, if it reaches capacity, what happens then?